Over the last 4 years, I've had the immense privilege of seeing a grassroots project in the heart of Kolkata in India grow from the seed of an idea into a flourishing programme which is transforming lives every day. Small microloans are enabling extremely vulnerable women to lift their families out of poverty. Many of these women are former rag pickers. In other words, they collect other people's rubbish and sell it so that they can feed their families. A typical rag picker is female, illiterate, and lives in an illegal shelter. Her children are likely to drop out of education before the age of 10. Her husband may be a rickshaw driver or work in a small factory in the slums, but he's just as likely to be absent, violent, or a user of cheap hooch. Family breakdown is common, domestic violence is common, and many young women are left widowed with several small children and no regular income. So I want to tell you about Banu. She was one of these women, although was fortunate enough still to have her husband there. And she approached Tildjala Shed for a microloan in the middle of 2017, June 2017. So she took 15,000 rupees. And with that, she set up a small shoemaking business. And her husband, Raja, who'd been a bit of a troublemaker and was a bit useless, actually took up the challenge and joined her. And this business began to do very well. They paid off the loan in 9 months and applied for a second loan, which they took, this time 20,000 rupees, and then began to grow the business. And when I visited in January, so this was January 2019, so just 9 months, another 9 months later, I visited their factory. The factory was still inside the slum or inside the squatter camp, but they were employing 8 people. They were creating 100 pairs of shoes a day, which they were selling at one of the biggest markets in Kolkata. And they were generating a profit of 15 to 20 rupees per pair of slippers, which gave them that had doubled their income from about 7,000 rupees before to 13,000. And that's a very good income compared with everyone else in those circumstances. And they are going from strength to strength. Every single rupee has been repaid with interest. They are now self-sufficient, and they're looking forward to taking themselves out of the squatter camp and buying a proper, regular shelter. So Banu and Raja are typical of the 480 families who in the last 4 years have taken these microloans from the Livelihood Project that we first set up in 2016. And every time I visit, I always make a point of going and visiting as many of the beneficiaries of this project as I can. And I am bowled over again and again and again by the resourcefulness of the women, by how successful they are, how serious they are about educating their children, about how, they're not only are they repaying on time, but they're often repaying early, and then they go back for more. They love this project because it's enabling them to help themselves. It's making them independent, it's empowering them. And there are so many side benefits as well. They routinely report a drop in domestic violence. Once they become, have some economic power, then they are more respected at home. They want to keep their children in education. Some of them are paying for private schools for their children. One woman I met about a year ago is very proud that her daughter is at college studying nursing. So these are people who were on the underclass, right at the bottom of society, who are now beginning to see that they can move up and out. Many of them can now see that they are able to move away from the squat and they can actually purchase or rent proper accommodation in mainstream society. So over the 4 years, we have distributed around £95,000. But of course, much of that is money that has been recycled again and again. We originally only raised here about 9,000 in our first push. We raised about another 9,000 or so came from private donations and local donations in Kolkata. And there have been dribs and drabs ever since through the years, through the Global Giving Portal, which I'll tell you about. So in fact, something like £20,000 has been raised and 95,000 has been distributed, which is amazing. And every loan is repaid with a little bit of interest. Now, we have an opportunity tomorrow to make this project entirely self-sustaining, so that the cost of administering the loans, which is really the cost of 3 salaries and a little bit of admin, we should be able to cover that with the interest, as long as we have a big enough pot being recycled. And this is somewhere between 10 and 20,000. They tell me that 10 would be enough to pay some of the salaries. Well, then if we put 20 more in, then perhaps we can cover all of it. But the more that we have in the pot, the more women can be helped, the more families can be helped, the more children will have full tummies, and so on and so on. So what I want from you today is to have a good think about whether you could help tomorrow. Tomorrow is a global giving bonus day. Now, I've always raised my funds for Till Jalashed through Global Giving, which is an American crowdfunding platform. And it's a fantastic way of linking up tiny grassroots organisations like Till Jalashed with the donors. There's no intermediary, there's no big aid agency in between, there's no one driving 4x4s around, there's no one, there's no big local office of some global aid agency. This is you connecting with Nobanu. So a donation of £100 from you would be increased by, if you're a British taxpayer, by 25%, and then by a further bonus of 15% for £100 tomorrow, and that would go directly to Nobanu. And then it's recycled. She repays it with a little bit of interest, and then it goes out to somebody else. And then 9, 10, 15 months later, it goes out to somebody else. So a donation of £100 is, first of all, more than £100, and secondly, it's recycled again and again and again. So this is an investment. Even a small donation would be a massive investment going forward. And why do I love this project so much? I see true impact here. I really see these women empowered. They don't want to take handouts. It's a matter of pride that money is returned. It's humanitarian. When something goes wrong, and it does, there was sometimes, the one woman's warehouse burnt down. She lost everything. On another occasion, a woman had just set up a vegetable stall outside the gates of a hospital. Brilliant place to be, lots of business, and the hospital decided they were going to do some development and swept her off the pavement. So she was unable at that point to pay back the loan. But because we're a charitable organisation and not a bank, we're able to say, that's fine, we'll help you out later on, but nobody is going to go round and, strong-arm anybody. However, the repayment rate is, sometimes it's over 98%. It never seems to drop below about 94, 95%. So at any one time, everybody is repaying. It's an absolutely brilliant programme. They've undertaken also, but one condition of the loan is that they will keep their children in school, and that's what they're doing. They're reporting lower levels of domestic violence. This was a side benefit I'd never even considered, that if you've got economic power, then you're much less likely to be beaten up. These are women who have been literally empowered. And the great thing about this project is that with this one last push, we can make it self-sustaining and push it back into the hands of those women. And there they go. They've got this resource, which is access to financial services, to credit. And so tomorrow, we have a big bonus day at Global Giving. And it's for major gifts, this one. So it's really from gifts of $100 up. The bigger their donation, the more the match. So a $1,000 donation will attract a $500 bonus. So that's the best. But a $100 donation still attracts a $15 bonus. So what I would really love you to do is to have a think about whether you could contribute anything, however small, because if we can get 10 to 20,000, 20,000 would be amazing. Then this is done and dusted. Those communities will have access to credit in perpetuity thanks to you, and I'll never need to come back again. Thank you very much. Please go to the website on the link here. You can donate from 2 p.m. tomorrow. The matching funds, there's $250,000 US of matching funds, but it will run out. So the thing to do is to get on there fast. And I will keep reminding through Facebook. If you want to send me a message, we can connect on WhatsApp, and I can give you a WhatsApp reminder, because really, to get these matching funds in, we need to be on the button at 2 p.m. British summertime tomorrow. That's 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time in the States, 11 p.m. in Sydney. And you can do your own math for all the other ones. I would be really, really grateful. More details below. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.